Who doesn't love a supercharger? Seriously, they are so cool, they sound amazing, in most cases they bolt on, and they give you more power. This is my 1989 Toyota pickup. It's solid axle swapped, it's manual swapped, it's 3.4 swapped, and sitting on top of all of that is this beautiful TRD Supercharger. Let's talk about that. When you think of TRD, you might think of Toyota Racing Development, Toyota's race team, right? Or maybe you think of the silly badges that Toyota likes to slap on their newer vehicles to make them look cool. But what you may not know is TRD is a whole parts division of Toyota, offering parts like headers, exhaust, full suspension systems, cold air intakes, and even rims. Which is why the TRD Pro trucks look so cool, because it's got like all of those. And all the way back in 1995, TRD came out with their very first supercharger. Can you guess what vehicle that was for? A Camry of all things. And here's what Toyota had to say about that. When bolted on the engine, performance got a major shot in the arm as the supercharger instantaneously provided more power as compared to the turbocharger, which had to spool up. I've never actually seen a supercharged Camry, but now I want one. Thanks, TRD. The superchargers were later made to fit on a variety of vehicles all across Toyota's line, including Tacomas, Tundras, Matrixes, T100s, 4Runners, Landcruisers, and Corollas. Corollas? Let me know if you got a line on one of those. I know of a Corolla that can use some boost. Sadly, after 20 years, Toyota ended its epic, power-making, smile-generating TRD Supercharger program in 2014. And now that you got a history lesson on TRD Superchargers, let's talk about mine. Well, little boy, I guess it's time. TRD created two different types of superchargers for the 5DZ FE, a gray first generation supercharger and a black second generation. The second gen is favorable because it uses a single casting of the supercharger housing in plenum, but differ mostly in the bypass valve. On the second gen, it's built into the housing, and the first gen, it has to get plumbed into the works somehow. Also, the gray one needs to be removed to change its oil. The second one can be serviced while still attached to the vehicle. And even before I did the 3.4 swap, I knew that I wanted it to be supercharged eventually. And when I found this used one for $1,200, I jumped on that deal immediately. The only problem is, this supercharger only came as a bare unit, so I didn't get the tensioner pulleys, I didn't get belts, I didn't get any hardware, I didn't get no hoses, didn't get nothing. Normally, these first generation superchargers would use a fixed pulley, and you would actually tighten the belt with the alternator tensioner. In my case, Toyota actually discontinued that old tensioner bracket, so I had to go to the Toyota dealership and I bought a new dynamic tensioner for the second generation supercharger, which is still a bolt-on and works perfect with the first generation, which is a worthwhile upgrade anyways. With the supercharger installation, I have done 0 fuel mods. It is not required for the supercharger with the stock pulley, although some people on the internet seem to recommend it. And now you're probably wondering, was the supercharger worth the money? Back when this truck was in its stock form, with its 3-liter, its automatic transmission, stock 456 gears, and 31-inch tires, it couldn't climb a hill on the highway to save its life. It would lose all of its speed, and it was rather miserable. And now, with its supercharged 3.4-liter, its manual transmission, still stock gears, and 37-inch tires, I'm able to maintain highway speed absolutely no problem going uphill in 5th gear without gearing down. It's amazing, not to mention all that added torque at low RPM and that supercharger whine. Magnuson, who makes the TRD Superchargers, claim that these engines make 25% more horsepower and torque with the 3.4-liter supercharger attached. But hold on, there is downsides to all this power and general awesomeness. If you slap on a TRD Supercharger, you will be paying more for fuel. There's no way around it. Not only will you be burning more fuel while you're putting your foot in it, really enjoying the new power, but the supercharger also requires the use of premium 91 or higher octane fuel to maximize performance and prevent engine damage from combustion chamber detonation. Trust me, a friend of mine filled up my truck once with regular gas, and it ran like a bag of turd until I got through that tank. Another downside to the TRD Supercharger is it can leave you stranded if you're not prepared. I had a belt blow on this supercharger while I was out in the bush, and I had to get my truck towed back in the town because none of the local auto parts stores had that belt in stock. It's not an off-the-shelf belt. I had to order it from Toyota. So now I actually carry 2 spares with me at all times in the truck and all the tools to replace them so that it will never leave me stranded again. And the biggest downside to these superchargers is a brand new one from Magnuson will cost you almost $3,500 US. Is it worth it? 100%. To me, the few downfalls of having the supercharger are well worth it for the performance boost you get with it. If you're lucky enough like me to find a decent deal on the used market. I wouldn't pay over $2,000 for this setup. But then again, good luck finding one for a good deal. Anyways guys, if you like this stuff, let me know in the comments below. This is a little bit of a different video than I normally do on this channel. It took a bit more research to get all this information for you. But yeah, if you like it, let me know. Maybe we'll do a history or a why solid axle swap video next. Give me a thumbs up, subscribe if you're new, and we will see you next week. Peace.